Okay. Hi everybody. So, thank you. So, I'm just going to quickly recap what our group discussed. So, our questions were: what was the target of Dr. Baba Saheb's movement during his lifetime? Did that movement infuse a sense of self-respect and concern for social change? Compared to those days, what sort of social value promotion are we presently engaged in? So, first and foremost, we reflected upon why these questions were posed to us, and it's clearly because this is a time for reflection, like introspection, like Dhirendra said, and so that was our first sort of reflection. Now, in regards to the first question, what was the target of Dr. Baba Saheb in his lifetime? To put it very simply, it was to bring about equality. And equality, most and foremost, first and foremost, and fundamental rights for everybody. Because I think this is something that I forget, that we forget, is that Baba Saheb didn't just champion our cause, he championed every single Indian's cause. Right? So that was number one. Number two, did that movement infuse a sense of self-respect and concern for social change? Absolutely yes. It did. And at that time, and Pradeep Dada brought up a very important point, which was that at that time, he managed to do it without any form of social media. Right? The people weren't connected as much as they are now. In fact, right now, I would dare say that we live in a hyper-connected world. Right? So back then, if he managed to do that, and the example that was given earlier, that people still flock to each other on this day because they are still pulled by what that man did, for not just for our community, but for each and every single Indian. So yes, and did that movement infuse a sense of self-respect? Absolutely. 100%. I see that, and I have to just to digress a bit, I see that in the example, for example, my grandparents, my grandfather, and like my great-grandparents, who took really great pride in the fact that, okay, we are liberated, we can live with dignity, and that was because of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and I think that has percolated from generation to generation to generation, and I think it will still continue. And the last one, compared to those days, what sort of social value promotion are we presently engaged into? To be honest, I think in our group we said yes, we're still engaged in the same sort of values because we're still championing equality, we're still championing freedom, we're still championing like the enshrinement of our basic fundamental rights which are being transgressed every single day by those in power, right? And in fact, in our group we discussed that in the last decade, 2 decades or so, we have sort of seen a regression in the progress that was made. So this is something that, yeah, we're still harping on and fighting for the same values that we were fighting for back then. And the other important thing that we noted is that, yes, there are people from our community who are now in positions of power who do have privilege, but an observation that we made is that privilege doesn't necessarily percolate down to every single one of us, which is an important thing. And which brought us to the next point, which is that we as diaspora, because personally I have this anxiety as to what am I doing sitting here, right? I keep seeing so many atrocities that continue happening and I'm like, what am I doing? What are we doing? And I feel like we need to sort of gather around and have a genuine discussion, and not just discussion, but sort of like a call to action, because it's not going to be sufficient for us just to meet twice a year to celebrate Baba Saheb and to celebrate his work. We genuinely have to take this work forward because, to be fair, and Dhirendra brought this up also, which was another important point, that the opposition is doing great. They're doing great. They've got their networks. They've got their system set up. They've got people everywhere. They come together. We need to sort of buckle down and do something about it and really come to action, because as diaspora, we've got power, we've got privilege. Let's use it. Let's use it to do something good. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So we have Sumit on stage.
So, JB Namo, to all. So we we took the second question, did Baba Sahib engage himself in doing purely welfare activities or in bringing us fundamental social change? So we had Amol, Sumit, Jnaneshwar, Dhirendra, Bhujendra, Vera, Satyendra, Karan in our group. So at first we thought that we are not here to analyze what Baba Sahib was he was doing. We do not have any rights to see what he did or what he corrected. Means was he a welfare activist or a social change? Because we cannot question what Baba Sahib did. So that was the thing we got from our group discussion. So we cannot judge judge that person. But in order to solve this question or to discuss this question, we came to know that he was involved in both the activities. He was not purely a welfare activity nor purely fundamental, but he was a mix of that. So what we discussed that when we see what welfare activities he did. So we saw that he constructed various educational institutions like in Milind Mahavidyalaya, then in Aurangabad, then Siddhartha Mahavidyalaya in Mumbai. So these were some social activities. He built hostels also for our people during that time. So these were the activities which shows that he was a social. He was doing welfare activity, but he was at the same time he was trying to bring a fundamental social change in the Indian society. So we can see that thing from, because we are here today to celebrate the Dhammacakra Pravartan Divas. So that is a big fundamental change he brought into the Indian society. Why? Because he told that he was born as a Hindu, but he will not die as a Hindu. And he converted millions of people in India to the Buddhism. So that was a fundamental. Like he stuck the Hindu like a hierarchy system in India. So he was working for the social change, and we can also see that thing in the Indian Constitution also, because he was working for all the people. Like he inculcated brotherhood, fraternity, and all like other fundamental brotherhood, and some more 2 or 3 things he inculcated, and make sure that these things will be there in the Indian Constitution, so that all the people will have equal rights, equal opportunities to grow. So it will be very much difficult to say that he was doing just a pure welfare activities, but he was a mix of that. And finally, I want to say that we are not here to question Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. What he has written, that is the final word for us. So that is my personal belief. We cannot question that person. So that was the discussion we had in our group. Thank you.
Does someone has any questions for Sumit?
Good. It's more interactive. Good.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
I thought someone had. Okay.
Someone have question? No. Okay.
No, I have a question.
Yes.
If you allow me. Like,
the thought of the Buddha comes to my mind when he says that not because he is your teacher or they are your parents, you have to listen to him. And he said, not because I am saying you have to listen to him. He said, what I know I have told you. You see and you assess what I said, and then see how much you want, how much is applicable to you. Because his entire objective was not for him to come to you and tell what he thinks and you listen to him, the way and accept the way what he told you. He gave the freedom to accept how much we want to accept, and he emphasized on that. So I respect to your group what they But if you ask me, I'm not questioning, but I'm free to even assess Dr. Ambedkar Sahab in a sense that what he did was all good, no doubt in that. But that thought of the Buddha gives me sort of a freedom that we can assess anyone. Thank you.
So my explanation from my group is that, so if we do such a comparison about his activities, then we are just constraining team to one activities. So it is good that we can for the discussion, but I think it will give a wrong message to the society that we know that the society they starts doing some random things and discussing some random things.
No.
So I think that is the perspective that we share.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sumit. I think one point I would like to add there is, I think in Dhammapad, Gautam Buddha mentioned that please don't believe in anything if someone says, Buddha says so, or your teacher says so, or the religious books says so, or because it's a tradition from in your family, or because your elders say so. Yes, but what he also mentions that whatever is being said in the name of Buddha or whoever, you need to still test it on the basis of humanity, justice, or at least, if this thing is going to benefit the society or not. So, if that thing is going to finally benefit the society, then you can trust it. So, I will end my words with that one. I would like to welcome the next and the last group. We have to do that.
Could you please read the question before you start?
Yes.
So that it revises us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Samyak. I'm from Nasik and living in Netherlands for almost 3 years now. And here with me is my friend. I'm Subhendu. I'm also from Netherlands, doing my PhD at the University of Amsterdam. And I'm in Amsterdam for like about 5 years now, I think. So the question is regarding Baba Sahib's mission. Are we getting more and more ceremonial, or we have taken the task of taking his Kanban? Yeah, so my point is that you need to have ceremonies. Ceremonies are important checkpoints of the movement. If you don't have ceremonies, you cannot acknowledge the supposed progress that we are making, right? And of course, we want to talk about taking the task of Canada. And my question is that we have to kind of understand that at the current stages, which we talk about welfare politics, the Indian state, for example, has diminished its approach with welfare politics. It has restricted welfare politics to mere concessional politics. So all these things have become merely provisions that has been strategized by the ruling class. Yeah. Did you get what I was saying? Yeah. So, see, one question people can ask. We talk about informal sector. Most of our people work in the informal sector. We give the GDP, we give some GST tasks to the country, right? How much it is going back to us, right? So you see, the material question is not being taken care by the state, because we are not asking the correct questions to the state that forces them to do this, right? So of course, you cannot do just mere welfare politics or negotiated welfare. You have to negotiate something much broader. And where ceremonies are helpful. Ceremonies are helpful to reflect on those material conditions, right? We could be the hinge points where these points can be taken would be rather be sharpened, articulated, and brought into different contexts, right? For example, our communities, students are coming to Belgium and Netherlands, coming from very difficult positions, first generation learners. How much of the material support they get ultimately? They're coming with some scholarship. But then the scholarship supposedly doesn't work sometimes. The money doesn't go back to them. And you know that if you don't have money here, then it's difficult to work. So what we can do in order to build some kind of cascade support for them. These questions are integral, right? If you want to build community feeling through ceremonies and to build this idea that generations of Milkerites will come and give the knowledge to each other, we have to also negotiate here to make sure that we also get the kind of material support that we insist. And this is a development that has happened recently. In Netherlands, for example, people from Surinamese communities and from other, Black African communities, now they are raising these points. What we are saying is that we have the same tenacity to pose a very similar length of questions with them and try to negotiate a sort of a state where our ceremonies can become, let's say, indicative of that struggle. You see, it gives meaning and it gives much more, depth to what we are doing. And that is at least my point. But we have other points also.
Yeah, so of our discussion, this was like a major point. Like what kind of a ceremony should be, right? What should be the output of the ceremonies, and how, at what level we should take it. So this is a nice point, and he explained it so nicely in the discussion. I was like, no, I'm not going to put it in my own words. It should be communicated from your own words. On the other hand, while discussing, we were thinking about what is a ceremony. Let's come back to its definition, right? Ceremony is like people are coming together at certain point of time, like-minded people who think, okay, this is where you think that these people are related to myself, and might be talking about or celebrating something similar, right? So that's a ceremony. So we don't need to essentially attach that ceremony with any religions or anything. Try to look at the ceremonies as an objectively, right? It can be anything, because in IT world where I'm from, we have sprint, and in sprint, whatever we do, we call it as a ceremony, but that doesn't mean that we go there and we light up the candle and do something, right? Ceremonies are just the thing where you get together, you discuss, and you kind of think about, okay, I want to go from Netherlands to the Belgium, am I on the right route or not? Or I'm just blindly considering that, okay, straight road will go there and I'll just go there, but I don't know, I might end up into the France or Portugal, or you never know what. So ceremonies are the crucial points for that. And what was Dr. Ambedkar's Caravan is? The Caravan is not important, its final destination is important. We need to be able to understand that Dr. Ambedkar has built a road for us, and we are the Caravan itself, right? And when it comes to those ceremonies, those are those checkpoints, those petrol pumps where we stop to fill up the gas, to sit down, to discuss and check with our maps that are we going into right direction or not. Because if you shift your direction by certain millimeters, in a longer run, you will be going too far away from your main objectives. So when you do this ceremony, you need to be aware about what are your objectives, what are your end goals, what are the values. Are we compromising those values, those objectives at this moment? And if the answers are yes, then what kind of actions we need to take to fix those things and correct our course, right? Correct our directions. And while doing this everything, it's important that it should be based on the democracy. It should not be that we had the one leader who said that we will be going in X direction, and no matter what, all the questions or all the shots will be called by that one person. We need to have the consensus from everyone. Everyone should get the chance to speak their mind, put their thoughts, no matter how stupid or how relevant or how duplicate or repetitive it may be. Because that thing make you feel inclusive, right? When you feel inclusive, like you take an example of your family. In family, if you're like a smallest child, right? And if you don't get to put front to your point, then you always feel neglected, then you become silent, right? if that can happen in a family, just imagine how much bigger impact it would be if we start treating people like this on a society level, right? So we need to give an opportunity to everyone to ask, okay, this is the X objective, do you think this is still relevant? Will it make your life easier? Because what Dr. Bhaskar Ambedkar done with giving us a diksha on this nice day, right? It's not that he just wanted us to read the Buddha and his Dhamma, right? He's a bridge. We should be able to cross that bridge and go more and more near to the Buddhism, because Buddhism is going to make this world a better place. Only Brahmanism is not our fight, because Brahmanism can be changed with any different enemy in the future. So what we need to know is we need to understand if our tactics are right, if our objectives are right, if we are going in the right direction, if we are including everyone or not, we are thinking about everyone or not, and how much we can do for each other, how can one make their own life better, at the same time how you can make life of others better or make the earth a better place to live, I'll say. And and ceremonies are important points for the children, because that's where little people, these cute little children come and they understand where we came from, right? It's not privilege, it's not like given to us on a silver platter, but someone might have compromised, sacrificed the n number of things which you cannot imagine, and then we have got this. So we should be aware of it, we should be aware of those compromises, those sacrifices, and we should always keep in mind that while fighting with Brahmanism or any kind of enemy, we should not become that enemy in the future. That is very important, because right now we are fighting against Hindus, but if in the future, if we become the repressor, then everything is lost. That's why our fight is bigger. Our fight is based on the points, qualities, basic equality, fraternity, those kind of things we just need to think about, irrespective of caste, creed, whatever differences. Those come secondary. First, we need to make earth, every land, every water, whatever you call it, better place to live for that particular living species. That should be our goal. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments, questions? Yes.
Yeah. If you want, yeah.
Namabuddha Jai to all of you. And it's a great pleasure once again. I come to these sessions wherever they happen. And I can say that 9 years before, I struggled to find one Ambedkarite and one Buddhist in Belgium. I couldn't find. And then I met Pradeep, and then that's how the whole thing started. So, first of all, I think I thank AIM, to really have a start in Europe, and I can see for the last several years that it has taken roots and it has grown, and it is growing very rapidly. Coming back to the point that you talked about, I think this taking the karma ahead, and the question that is it just a ceremonial, or are we doing anything specific? I would say that for any group there are 4 stages that we go through. We look at any group, forming, norming, storming and performing. You agree? I particularly feel that AIM as a group, that we have come together, we are in the norming stage now. We were not even formed, some years back. Now we are formed, we are just norming, we are, we are good to each other, we are having nice talks. But that stage has to get over. We have to get into the storming. And the storming happens when the minds come together and the minds challenge each other. It has not happened. I'm waiting for the day that this dais, becomes a stage where these kind of storming happens of ideas, thoughts, right? Reactions. And from there, we will go to the last stage, which is performing. Okay? So just reflecting back, some great points. I must say I've learned something today from you. Okay? What's your name? Subhendu. Yeah? And so we have great minds like him, right? somebody who's doing PhD, and most of the students and children, he's no more a children now, I'm just, no, because I have children like this, so I can still call you child. So anyway, coming back, we have great minds coming from India over here, right? So we need to harness that strength, that power, that thought leadership. And I appeal to AIM today, and some of the people who I am not any designated person in AIM per se, but I request that we have had now for the last 5 years constant ceremonies like this. It's very good, but there's no concrete work that we have undertaken. We are far from it, very far from it. No concrete work is happening. So I appeal today on this beautiful day that let us, all the European communities that we have across whole of Europe and maybe beyond also, why don't we, and we do beautifully, we do Google Forms, right? We capture details, etc. Why don't we just ask our community over here, what are the questions that they want to really solve and work on, right? Let's capture those questions. Let us then give those questions to everybody to give their points, right? And then we finalize, let's say, top 3 questions that we want to work upon. And then really start some concrete work. Because I can tell you, and this I'm telling you from my own experience, from my own house. One of the problems my children have is that they say that we go to these sessions once in 6 months and nothing else happens after that. I can't keep motivating them just like that, right? They are young blood. They need to see action. They need to see something happening. So it is the need of the hour. I request that let's take this as one of the agenda and let's work on it. We are all good people. We have come together. Let's go to the storming stage and then we will go to performing. Thank you.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So can you,
Go ahead.
just give an example, like what is in your mind so that everybody can get an idea?
Yeah. So one thing is, one question that we have to solve, I feel, is that how do we upbring our children in the right values of Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha? From where they will learn this? They are born in Europe. They are not amongst our community. They are outside of India, and we don't have much teachers also, right? So who will guide them? Who will coach them? Who will teach them? As parents, I myself don't know the whole thing about Buddhism, right? So I am far from teaching. So this is one problem. Okay. The second problem is what he said. That how do we raise the community? How do we, even problems like, that children who are coming, our students who are coming from India over here, are they having adequate support? What do they need? Are we doing enough? Then, a young mind from my house has talked about the education system. The fundamental education system that we have, is it good enough? Is it teaching what is required? What kind of values are being put into our children when they go to school? It's very fundamental, right? You cannot change. After 6 years, the man is made. After that, nothing much happens. Then it is just modification on top of it. So there are issues like this, but this is just top 3 from me. Like that, there will be several other questions that others will have.
Thank you very much. And you wanted brainstorming, and we have a brainstorming tomorrow all day. And I'm available for all day tomorrow at Pradeep's house, and we are going to speak about the same topic tomorrow all day. So you are invited and you are welcome, along with your young children who are like they have so many questions, and I will be able to address them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Just one small point. I think I forgot, or I think it is more relevant here. That Dr. Baba Ambedkar said that if you don't know your history, then you cannot make your own history, right? So I think that's the problem which Sir was also talking about, and I think the basic start is to either you read it or you read it with your children, the autobiographies of Dr. Baba Ambedkar, because that's the beginning. Because that's the beauty of our ceremonies as a ceremonies of our community. Because wherever in India,
You go to Ambedkar or Buddha related ceremonies which are organized by Dalits, you won't see any stalls where there will be coconuts or hearts, right? There will be the bookstores. So that is the way to teach your children what needs to be done. It's harmful as well. Why harmful? Because when you read, they're going to ask you questions which you are not comfortable with. But you should be really well thought. You should be okay with answering that question because that opens up your mind. And I think you can only change for your children. So that's why when such a kind of a question comes, you find the right answers, right? You try to search for it. And I think that's the way to go ahead. And when it comes to ceremonies, like Sir said, that we need to do some action. And that is like the most important ceremonies in IT world, like we follow the Scrum pattern, many of you might know. And the important thing is like the retrospective. When we come together, we put sticky notes that this is the problem, this went good, this went bad, and then we come up with the action points to improve or to continue on a good thing. I think out of tomorrow's session with Sir, we will come up with more points with that, but always, I'll just as my personal suggestion, let's not try to be too many critical about stuff. Always start with congratulating people and celebrating them for doing at least a single step. Because if we don't celebrate, if we don't congratulate people, then they will lose their motivation and there will be nothing. So we need to find the balance, and yeah, I think it's a good gathering, and thank you for inviting us, Jeremy.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a very important. Sorry.
Just to inform everyone, I think the food is getting, we are getting ready to serve the food.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm taking your 1 minute. You will be delayed with your lunch by 1 minute. I'm sorry for that. And I'm coming again and again. You already listened to me for 45 minutes, and again I'm coming. But this last point is very crucial for us, and that's why I'm coming here. If the ceremony, if the people understand the growth of the ceremony is the growth of the karma, then there is a problem. Because that is happening in India. That is happening around the world. Because our people are thinking more ceremony, better ceremony means we are progressing. And the karma is going ahead. Because ceremony is important, but it is not everything. Now let's see what Baba Sahib said about ceremony. Very, very important. Baba Sahib's birthday was there. All his lieutenants and his entire team and the people were very excited to celebrate his birthday. They went to Baba Sahib